Audio Jungle.
It's May 24, 2023, Wednesday. Good morning. This is Joanne Gumayan and you are watching Environmental Issues News. Philippines, a nation swallowed by plastic waste. Plastic trash from the sachet economy chokes the Philippine seas and environment. The amount of plastic waste has increased at an alarming rate since the invention of the material, causing environment problems at a global scale. Nowhere is this issue more visible than in the Philippines, whose population of 114 million people across 7,641 islands produces over one-third of all oceanic plastic waste in the world, according to our World in Data. With widespread poverty and corporate interests driving Filipinos to buy small quantities more often in a sachet economy, plastic waste continues to pile up on land, clogging coastlines, spilling into the sea, and traveling to remote corners of the country. Every morning, Rod Doyson checks his fish pond. He's been a fisherman almost all of his life and is recently moved to Manila. Fishing has always been difficult to provinces that he says it's far more challenging in the capital.
Lily.
The current is not so strong today. My fish pen has no garbage. Unlike when the waters are high, garbage is everywhere.
Hundreds of Filipino fishermen depend on seas for their livelihood. They admit it is not an ideal place for fishing since it's a polluted area, but they are left with no choice. Greenpeace says cleanup activities on seas shows that disposable plastic used just once are one of the leading causes of pollution. It says the situation are similar across the country, with the giant companies and their customers polluting oceans with their plastic waste. In the Philippines, with majority of people lived in poverty line, families are pushed to buy cheap goods in small quantity. The so-called sachet economy responds to the needs of Filipino consumers, but it also made the country as the third biggest polluter of ocean based on a Greenpeace study. China and Indonesia ranked first and second.
We don't have the enough an infrastructure to manage our waste. We have a good law, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Law, but we feel that it's not implemented properly in all levels of the government.
The government admit a national policy must be in place.
We want that to be banned, totally banned, the single-use plastic. All other packaging materials of similar characteristics, we want that to be banned.
More than 20 years after enacting a landmark Waste Management Act, the country has failed to meet many of the targets outlined in the 2001 legislation. This alarming phenomena has affected different species and the environment. Many animal species are known to die from plastic or be affected by it. That number is now more than 2,000 species and is constantly increasing. This includes animals that become stuck in plastic. Turtles mistake plastic bags for food, and whales are found with plastic in the stomach, and many more animals died because of plastics. They choke, starve, or lose limbs due to amputation. Plastic bags also affect the growth of crops by hindering the process of photosynthesis in agricultural fields. Plastic have potentially harmful effects on human health too. Exposure to toxic chemicals coming out of plastic can cause cancers, birth defects, impaired immunity, and other health problems. Photos showed here was taken during the Earth Day by Ezra Akayan, a photojournalist, where she explored how the plastic problem is affecting the lives of Filipinos around the capital city, Manila, in 2023. However, despite the considerable scale of plastic pollution in the Philippines, residents of the country and some companies have been at the forefront of recycling efforts so far. For instance, companies like Infinity 8 Trading and Marketing Corporation buy plastic waste from scrap dealers, turn them into pellets, and resell them as raw materials to remake food, cartons, and bottles. While critics trace the Philippines' plastic pollution problem to the poor enforcement of laws, the government introduced its Extended Producer Responsibility Act in 2023. It is a critical national law that has been passed in the Philippines that advances this legal framework to combat plastic pollution much further.
Law, the EPR law, it's the Extended Producer Responsibility Law. It improved on the existing law that we have, the RA 9003. What it did is that it extended the responsibility of manufacturers. Usually, right, their responsibility ends when we use the product and we throw it when they're used up, right? So
Yes.
the, like, for example, the plastic packaging of the food that we eat. So
Right.
under EPR law, the law extended that responsibility. They are now obliged to help us recover the plastic from the trash. So they are given targets, like for this year, they're supposed to recover 20% of the plastics they used. So there's this sharing of burden, because under the old law, the burden of collecting and recycling is mostly on the shoulders of the local government units. So
Right.
now the large corporations will now help out. Under the new law, the obliged companies are supposed to come up with their EPR program, wherein they disclose what type of plastics they use and how much tons per year, and then how do they plan to recover their share of plastics from the trash, from the
Right.
garbage. So they need to submit that to the DNR, and how do they plan to dispose of it or recycle it back into production. We conducted multi-stakeholders dialogues, right? So we came up with this white paper, and we gathered all their perspectives and their insights on how we can make sure that the EPR law is rolled out properly. The individuals, perhaps first thing is we've heard this before, reuse, reduce, recycle, recover. Perhaps for the ordinary citizen, we can affect behavioral change in each of us. Let's try to notice how much plastic packaging we use every day, every week, every month, and try to lessen it, have it, during the year, at least for this first year. And then let's not mix garbage anymore. Let's separate the plastics from household basis.
This means that those who bring plastic packaging into the Philippine market must pay for the cost of waste prevention cleanup and recovery measures. The success of the EPR law and enforcement in the Philippines will depend on increasing the number of waste collection and recycling facilities paid for the plastic producers. This law, through the years in the making, marks the beginning of aggressive measures to reduce the amount of plastic waste being generated in the Philippines. The benefits of this law will extend beyond the Philippines, reducing marine plastic waste in shared seas and oceans.